Killers. One of my biggest fears, and probably yours too. Luckily, a lot of killers always seem to get caught in the end, putting the horrors they have committed to an end. But what if these killers never get caught? Well, in today's video, we will go over a few killers that have never been found. If you have not seen my community post, I was going to upload a computer virus video, but because this progress is being so slow, I wanted to make a smaller video for you guys since I have the idea planned out anyways. My name is Melissa Aboer. If you want more videos like these, make sure to subscribe. With all that said, let's jump into today's video. The Crew Murders. In June 1970, Len Demler walked into the farmhouse of his daughter, Jeanette, and her husband, Harvey Crew, only to be confronted with a chilling scene. There was no sign of the couple, but the farmhouse was awash with blood. Amid the gruesome discovery, Demler heard the distressed cries of his 18-month-old granddaughter emanating from her bedroom. Rushing to her cot, he found her hungry, filthy, but miraculously unharmed. Nearly a month after the murders, Jeanette's body was discovered by fishermen floating in the nearby Waikato River. She had been wrapped in a bedspread, and there was evidence suggesting that the body had initially been weighted down. Several weeks later, Harvey's body was found in the same river, ensnared in weeds a few kilometers or a mile or so away from where Jeanette had been found. The police soon arrested Arthur Allen Thomas, a local farmer acquainted with the Crews, on the ground that he was obsessed with Jeanette. Thomas was convicted of the murders and spent 9 years in prison before a royal commission of inquiry uncovered a grave miscarriage of justice. The commission found that a spent cartridge, purportedly linking Thomas to the double homicide, had been planted by 2 police officers to secure his conviction. As a result, Thomas was let go and awarded 950,000 New Zealand dollars in compensation for his wrongful imprisonment and the loss of his farm. Despite the passage of more than 50 years, the true perpetrator or perpetrators of the Crew murders remain at large. The evidence strongly suggests the killer was intimately familiar with the Crew property and the surrounding area. The case endures as a haunting mystery, with justice for Jeanette and Harvey Crew eluding authorities to this day. The Smiley Face Killer. Probably the most interesting one on this list. This one even has its own theory, which I will cover now, and also a film called Smiley Face Killers, released in 2020. The theory is advanced by retired New York City detectives Kevin Gannon, Anthony Duarte, and a criminal justice professor named Dr. Lee Gilbertson. As recently as 2017, Gannon and Duarte have been examining evidence dating back to the late 1990s, which they believed connects to the deaths of 45 college males. Bodies were found in water across 11 states. Often these individuals were discovered after leaving parties or bars where they had been drinking. According to the former detectives, the men frequently fit a profile of being popular, athletic, and successful students, with most being white. Gannon and Duarte theorized that the young men were murdered either by an individual or an organized group of killers. The term Smiley Face became associated with the alleged murders when it was revealed that Gannon and Duarte had discovered graffiti depicting a smiley face near locations where they believed the killer had disposed of the bodies in at least a dozen cases. Highway of Tears. The Highway of Tears is a 719-kilometer stretch of Highway 16 between Prince George and Prince Rupert in British Columbia, Canada. This corridor has been the site of numerous crimes against women since its completion in 1970. The term Highway of Tears was coined during a 1998 vigil in Terrace, British Columbia by Florence Naziel, reflecting the grief of victims' families. A significant number of the victims are Indigenous women, linking this series of crimes to the broader Missing and Murder Indigenous Women movement, the MMIW. Several factors have been proposed to explain the persistence of these crimes and the challenging in solving them. These include socio-economic factors. High levels of poverty lead to low rates of vehicle ownership and mobility. Consequently, many people resort to hitchhiking to travel long distances for family visits, work, school, or medical care. The lack of public transportation makes this issue a whole lot worse. Social issues. Drug abuse, widespread domestic violence, and the disruption of family units due to foster care systems and the Canadian Indian residential school system contribute to the vulnerability of women in this area. Cultural disconnection. Disconnection from traditional culture can lead to social and instability in the family, further increasing the risk of violence. Geographical challenges. The isolation and remoteness of the area make it difficult to monitor and patrol. The soft soil in many regions facilitates easier burial of remains, and carnivorous scavengers can further obscure evidence by scattering human remains. These factors create a complex environment where crimes can occur with minimal detection and limited investigative progress, contributing to the enduring mystery and tragedy of the Highway of Tears. Santa Rosa hitchhiker murders. Maureen Louise Sterling, age 12, and Yvonne Lisa Weber, age 13, both students at Herbert Slater's middle school, disappeared around 9 p.m. on February 4th, 1972 after visiting the Redwood Empire Ice Arena. Like many young people of that era, they often hitchhiked. They were last seen hitchhiking on Gurnville Road, northwest of Santa Rosa. An acquaintance who had spoken with them earlier that evening recalled in a 2019 interview that Sterling and Weber mentioned a tall, slender man in his late teens or early 20s with black hair who had invited them to smoke marijuana. The friend declined to join the girls and the man, who was unfamiliar to her. In hindsight, she believed the man she saw in the Ice Arena lobby resembled photographs of notorious serial killer Ted Bundy. She described the girls as dressed in a manner that made them appear several years older than they were. The girls disappeared shortly after. The same friend, featuring the 2024 HBO Max documentary The Truth About Jim. By the way, while I was writing the script, I got a little curious about what this was, so I actually watched the documentary and gotta say it was really, really good. So if you have HBO Max, or Max I think it's called now because they renamed it, then I highly suggest you to watch it. It's really good. Stated she saw the man in profile as he stood in the lobby watching the skaters. She described him as Caucasian, slender, about 5 feet 10 inches tall, with short black hair, a prominent nose, and wearing a denim jacket. She noted that, contrary to the typical appearance of marijuana users at the time, this man had short hair and looked more like a teacher. She also mentioned that he has resembled a photograph of Jim Mordecai, documentary subject, taken around 1970 or 1971. Mordecai was in his early 30s around this time. Reports from that time suggested the girls might have been seeking a ride to a bowling alley to meet someone. There was also rumors of prior contact with a man living along the Russian River, though police could not confirm this connection. At the time of their disappearance, Sterling, described as a 5 feet 5 inches tall, 117 pounds with blue eyes and brunette hair, was wearing blue denim pants, a purple pullover shirt, a red sweatshirt with a hood and zipper, and brown suede shoes. Weber, described as 5 feet 2 inches tall, 105 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes, was wearing blue denim pants, a lavender and white tweed pullover shirt, a black velvet coat, and brown suede boots. Despite questioning classmates and following numerous leads, the police were initially inclined to believe the girls were runaways. Tragically, their bodies were discovered on December 28, 1972, 2.2 miles north of Porter Creek Road on France Valley Road, down a steep embankment approximately 66 feet off the road. Items found at the scene included a single earring, orange beads, and a 14-karat gold necklace with a cross identified by Sterling's mother and her daughters. The mate to the earring was not found, and binding material suggested the girls had been restrained. The cause of death could not be determined from the skeletal remains, and no clothing or other personal items were recovered from the scene. The murder of Melissa Aboer. Melissa Aboer was a 35-year-old Metis woman and a devoted single mother to her 17-year-old son, Anthony. Throughout her life, she embodied the spirit of care and compassion, dedicating to the last 8 to 10 years to fostering between 20 and 30 children. Melissa's nurturing did not end well. These children left her home. She continued to support them with housing and other needs, treating them as if they were her own. Her family was her greatest joy, and she shared a close bond with her parents, particularly cherishing their time together during summer at the cottage, a place filled with warmth and laughter. Fondly known as Lissa by her loved ones, Melissa's life was a testament to her selflessness and love. Professionally, Melissa worked full-time with developmentally challenged adults. To ensure she could provide for her family, she juggled 3 to 4 jobs at a time. For over a decade, she supplemented her income by working as a part-time taxi driver for North Star Cab in Thompson, Manitoba during the months of October and December, a job that helped her afford extra Christmas gifts for her children. The night of November 25th, 2005 was a typical Friday for Melissa. After visiting her mother, she began her graveyard shift in Thompson, the most violent city in Canada. Melissa was driving North Star Cab number 302, a white taxi, when she received a dispatch call shortly after midnight on November 26. The call directed her to the Thompson Arena, located within the University College of the North. Details of the caller and the number of passengers were unknown. Melissa informed her dispatcher that she would stop at the Ramada Hotel on Cree Road, a short 1.2 kilometer drive from the arena. It remains uncertain if she picked up any passengers or if she stopped at the hotel, but by 2:30 a.m., Melissa had a fare and 2 passengers in her cab heading eastbound. She passed the Vantis Credit Union ATM vestibule at the city center mall's rear entrance and entered the adjacent parking lot. Tragically, this is where Melissa's life was brutally cut short. She was stabbed to death by her 2 passengers in the frigid early morning hours. Her assailants fled on foot, disappearing into the Eastwood area of Thompson. Around 1 a.m., Ken Rhodes, a longtime Thompson cab driver, noticed a glow on Melissa's taxi top light in the North Central Mall parking lot. Soon after, her body was discovered on the pavement outside her cab. The news of Melissa's murder sent shockwaves through the community. Hundreds of Thompson residents attended a memorial in the city center parking lot and a vigil later that evening. In solidarity, Thompson's 3 taxi companies ceased operations from 3 p.m. until 7 a.m. The following morning, their cabs lining the lot to provide a place for attendees to warm up in the freezing temperatures. Local restaurants donated coffee, demonstrating the community's collective grief and support. Melissa's untimely death left her families and friends devastated. The entire Thompson community mourned her loss. She was one of the gentlest drivers in the whole industry, recalled North Star taxi manager Jazz Gills. If someone didn't have money, she'd smile and say, "Pay later." She never would have gotten into a dispute with someone. In response to Melissa Aboer's murder, the city of Thompson amended its taxi by law in 2006, mandating that all taxi cabs be equipped with cameras, a measure aimed at enhancing driver safety. Speculation about the motive for Melissa's murder has persisted. Given the timing, it was believed she might have had several $100s in fares. However, the RCMP has never confirmed this theory. Dietler's father, Milton, finds crucial. Nearly 15 years later, Melissa's brutal and senseless murder remains unsolved. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I wanted to make this before the computer virus one because I felt like that progress was it was going really slow and it was going to take a long time for me to put out a video like that for you guys in such a quick time. It would be way too much. But that video will come out as soon as possible. But I'm going on vacation next week for another week, so it's gonna take some time for that as well. But I hope this will be enough for you guys for now, at least. If you guys want this to be a series on the channel, I would be more than happy to. But that's up to you guys. So comment below if you guys want to see more like this, and just what do you think about this video in general. But with all that said, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like these. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.